Welcome to Champagne Chats, discussions from the green room, where we talk all things about the events industry. I'm Kate Woolley, also known as DJ Wildflower, and it's fab to have you here today. Coming up, we have a fantastic guest, an international star. You may know him locally in Perth. His name is Matt Hale. Let's get started. Today, I am absolutely delighted to have Matt Hale join me. He is a comedy hypnotist. He is known on the radio. He is also a host on Destination WA. He is a DJ. He's a general, just fabulous entertainer, and I'm guaranteed I'm going to find out a lot more tricks up his sleeve. And it's my absolute pleasure to have him here today. Thank you so much for joining me, Matt.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. This is fantastic.
Isn't this wild? This is yet another podcast where I've had to schedule a catch-up by booking you.
I know, this is the only way we can do it.
It's the only way we can have time. And that's actually not the whole truth, because booking you means speaking with your lovely wife, Catherine. Who is the behind-the-scenes machine that operates the world of Matt Hale.
Yeah, there's no business without Catherine.
There really isn't. I think
it's me wanting to do things and not being able to do them otherwise.
It is. And you guys seem to work so well together because from what I've seen, I met you, 2 years ago, Carmen Braywood's birthday party?
Yeah.
Which is, it sounds about right.
2 or 3 years ago must be, something like that.
2 or 3 years ago. And but I knew of you, and I've obviously seen lots and lots about you because your face is very well known across Perth, particularly during Fringe season.
Fringe mostly, yeah.
And you do have those standout posters, so well done to you and Catherine for that.
Good. The marketing's working.
Well done. So I'll talk a little bit about your history, but initially, what's on your plate at the moment? What are we talking about for the next couple of weeks? Because obviously Christmas is a very busy time.
Yes.
Is it all comedy hypnotism that you're working on right now?
Yeah. Pretty much almost 100% of what I do is comedy hypnosis. There's a couple of like music-related events every now and then with my DJ background, but mostly that. And occasionally I'll throw in some MC work. In fact, I was doing a big event the other night, and occasionally they asked me to MC the event as well. And so if I can fit it around, we can do it, absolutely.
If you can swing it.
Yeah. But I'd say like 98% of the time at the moment, for sure it's the shows, whether it's corporate shows, whether it's for the public.
Yeah.
But this time of year, the corporate, but also actually not just that, actually a lot of cruise ships coming up because I've just said yes to getting back on the ships. I used to do the ships a while ago, and in fact, we've had to reschedule this because I'm flying out to another ship. So actually, the next 2 weeks is quite weird because over the next 2 weeks, I'll be in Sydney, Hobart, Abu Dhabi, where else? Sri Lanka, Thailand, Singapore, and then finally back home for a couple of days. And then I have to. That's all ship related, cruise ship stuff. Then I will swing across to Melbourne for a corporate, back again home, and then I think I jet off again to some of the South Pacific Islands to join some more ships.
Holy ship, that is a hectic schedule.
Yeah. It is, yeah.
Honestly, you really are like a frequent traveller because you've gone from Perth to the Fringe festivals in Edinburgh, which is absolutely fun. You have just done so well over there, and I know that's been something that you've been building for a very long time, but Edinburgh to me is just like that, that caliber of events that I think a lot of performers really want to get to.
Yeah.
How did you get your foot in the door there? How did that start? How many years ago did you start going?
Well, the great thing with Edinburgh, like Adelaide, like Perth, so they're the top 3 Fringe festivals in the world, right? But they're all what they call open access festivals, which actually means anyone with an vague idea of a show, and who can actually find a venue who's willing to have that, well, then all you got to do is pay your few $100 registration, and you're in the festival. Now,
the best festivals in the world are actually open access. Anyone can have a crack.
Yeah. So with Fringe festivals mostly. So with that, still means you might not get an audience, you might not sell a ticket, right? But it means anyone can actually put a show on. Now, obviously, this is a business as much as it is fun. I mean, it's the most fun job I've ever done, but it's still where we make our money. So it's also a financial decision. So I've actually been doing Fringe festivals for years. We do full run Perth, full run Adelaide, but never done Edinburgh until this year, simply because we couldn't.
Misunderstood. Sorry, I think it was Adelaide that you've been doing for years.
Yeah, Adelaide and Fringe we've been doing for a long time.
Yes.
But financially, we couldn't really see a way of making it work. And most people say, expect to lose money in Edinburgh. It's just a good promotional opportunity. But we couldn't afford to lose money in Edinburgh, or at least not too much. So But when I was performing in Adelaide early this year with my current show, which was Top Fun, an 80s themed hypnosis show.
With the most epic poster.
Yeah, so stupid. So stupid. But yeah, we're very lucky that a representative from one of the very big prestigious venues in Edinburgh actually saw the show and just and sent us an unsolicited email to say, hey, we think your show would be perfect for our venue. We'd like to offer you, a full run, a good time slot. Now, when they do that, they're not paying you to be there, but they're giving you the opportunity to be in a good venue. So we kind of looked at it and thought, well, look, always wanted to do it, always been a bit on the edge with financially, but if we've ever wanted to do it, this is probably the best opportunity we've got of making it happen. And so we took on board a 250-seater over there and ran it every night at the festival. And fortunately, we did really well. There was something about the show, the buzz around the show built really early.
Yeah.
I went viral and across TikTok mostly. I was also on Facebook. We did a few million there, but I think we did like 25 million views on just one video alone on TikTok. So there was a lot of things kind of came together, and there's just big buzz, and then it just ran through the whole festival for us. So we came off really well. So it was probably the hardest we've worked at any festival over the years.
Congratulations, because I know that there's so much work that goes behind the scenes with Catherine and your business partners, that obviously there's your background previously working in radio, you've got a great media network, and that media network and that knowledge really does help enhance its ticket sales for you. It's not just being an entertainer and being booked. You actually have to be involved and responsible for selling tickets. That's a whole other level of pressure. Yeah,
well, we always say, especially when you're doing the festivals, is that realistically, yes, I'm a comedy hypnotist, but I'm actually more a marketer for a comedy hypnosis show because you put yourself thousands and thousands of dollars in debt, and then you're climbing out of a commission of each ticket by each ticket.
Yes.
So you're actively trying to sell tickets like every moment of the day. What can we do more? Whether it's social, whether it's ads, whether it's
a good
word of mouth,
motivation
whether it's
when you're sort of
media,
starting in the negative, right?
Yeah. You've got to make it work.
Too, we've got to make this work.
But I spent 10 years in breakfast radio, both both as part of the team, and producer and comedy, all sorts of roles.
Yeah.
And so for years I was kind of being pitched to, as in, people wanting to come on the show to promote what they're doing.
Right.
And so it was interesting because then I was able to kind of use that knowledge of what would, me as someone involved in a breakfast show want to have on a show. What would, someone in the media, what's the angle? What's the things that kind of slip through to the final producers meeting.
That's such a great insight, because ultimately trying to get placement, get media coverage, it has to be valuable to the network and the audience.
Yeah.
So it can't just be like, promote my show, please.
Exactly. And
I'd like to sell some tickets.
Yeah. And
you've got to find another angle.
And if there is anyone here who has been trying to knock on the door of the media and finding it fairly closed, have found there's a lot of people like, well, I've sent them a press release and it says I've got a great show, but that's not really enough, because you come Fringe time, Perth is 700 shows, and there's a lot of them are good shows, and there's only so many little times. So
do you have any advice for anyone sort of putting on a show, wanting to pitch to media, or any sort of...
Yeah, you just got to find a unique angle. There's got to be something unique about it. Yeah. I know you believe in yourself on like, this is a really great show, but that might not be enough to say, hey, I'm a great entertainer, come see me. What is it that's so unique that might get someone talking about you? What is it that ties into something that's going on in general already? There's
To be fair, comedy hypnotism is a bit of a niche.
It is. I mean, it is a unique.
So I'd say that you got a good start there. I've got to ask the question: how did you get started in comedy hypnotism? Would you work in comedy and then hypnotism and join it, or was it always a plan to do both?
No, you just go to Hogwarts. There's a subsection of Hogwarts.
You get your
2
letter
years behind
from the
Harry.
owl.
That's it.
Oh, it turns out I'm a comedy hypnotist. I never knew. You're a comedy hypnotist.
No. So I've always been fascinated with the mind, but I've also always been in the entertainment game in some respect, and I've always been a massive comedy fan. And so at some point, all those collided, where it was like, no, it's time. It's time. I've got to just put this together, see what happens. So I think the fascination with hypnosis has been there for many, many years. I was being very fortunate to have some very good careers before the career now. So my background is like we've briefly touched on.
So give me a little bit of rundown about how you got started with your career, like where you actually started and how
In my first career or my...
Your very first career.
Yeah. So I come from a DJ background. So I started. So I guess I've been in the events industry a long time because I started mobile DJing when I was 15. So you started
the events industry. Oh wow.
Yeah. So I started DJing when I was 15. My dad would drive me to gigs. I was getting booked when I was 15.
Love that.
Yeah. And so obviously when I was 18, I then started transitioning into clubs and working in clubs. And then I started doing, I'd go to like Greek islands for 6 months, Ibiza for 6 months, that kind of thing, right? So and so into my mid-20s, I was club DJing.
Yeah, living
mostly.
the dream, really.
Yeah, amazing. But I was always fascinated with radio. Early on, again, around the age of 15, 16, I'd started doing some community radio when I was back in the UK every now and then when I wasn't, when I was able to do it. And so in my mid-20s, I thought, okay, I'm not going to take another overseas contract for the DJing. I'm going to see if I can get into radio or TV. So I tried that and I eventually, got into radio and, just loved radio. So then that became my second big career because my first big career was DJing.
Yep.
My second big career then became radio. I became part of a breakfast radio team in the UK. And then when I ended up moving to Australia, end up working in breakfast radio for many years in Australia.
Fantastic. I understand that you've also been on the producer side of breakfast radio. So you're a host on breakfast radio.
Yes, yeah.
And so what does that actually involve, being a producer for a radio show?
Yeah, it's so funny because it involves so many different things because you're coordinating, you're kind of gatekeeping a bit for what's happening on the show. So
do you write like a show? Or do you just have like rough ideas? I've always wondered what a producer actually does.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is compacted it so much, but,
I'm sure.
but yeah, I mean, you're trying to structure a show, whether it's guests, competitions, phone-in topics, what we're going to talk about today, what's in the news, regular interviews, all these things, and you cannot coordinate all these things. But of course, it's very fluid because the great thing about radio is now you can react to something now, pretty much kind of like holding the show down. And also when the show's running, you're also helping it keep to time. You're making sure, okay, we've got 3 minutes, we've got to get out because we've got to hit the ads, or we've got the news is coming up, we've got to get this person there waiting on the line. All this.
It must be so dynamic and frenetic.
It is crazy. You're juggling so many things. But yeah, you and of course you are getting pitched to for people who want to, trying to get.
And there you are taking all this knowledge and you're working in this industry, you're doing a great job. But meanwhile, you're sort of taking all the information you're learning from media and building up skill sets for your next career.
Yeah. Which I
Isn't that the way it works though? You take little bits from all life experience. It's what it is.
Well, I mean, DJ never really left me. I still DJ now. So although that was my first career, I started when I was 15, that is still...
And you love music.
I think it will never love you.
It doesn't go away. I had a whole conversation with Dean Misdale about this, which is like, it's not a phase and it's not an age thing. I love seeing Carl Cox up there and all of my favorite DJs who are well into their 60s.
Oh my goodness, it's amazing now.
And I was like, this is definitely what I will be doing the same. I hope it's not playing the same level as Carl Cox. That'd be a dream, but I'll still be playing.
Yeah. So
local community club, town hall, wherever it is, wherever they'll have us, or just going out to gigs. Like we just, you love your music, but you're not doing little gigs either. You just did a fantastic tour with Symphony.
Yeah, I was very lucky to be involved with Symphony, which for anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's an event which basically takes a live orchestra and sometimes up to 60-piece orchestra.
Beautiful.
And then, we take DJs, vocalists, live orchestra.
It's classical dance music.
But it's with the big hits. It's all this playing the biggest hits of dance music. And so I was so lucky to become involved in that. To be able to walk onto stage in an arena and be part of an event like that has been amazing. So, I've been fortunate to obviously do that a couple of times at the at Perth Arena here to sold out crowds, and also head across to Singapore, and we did a massive event over there in Singapore with Symphony as well.
It just looks monumental.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah.
So when you do DJ gigs, you're obviously still getting these really great opportunities. And I'm sure if you had any time left, which there's not much, there would be more opportunities now. But for focus, obviously now is on comedy hypnotism and your shows.
Yep.
Your newest one, Top Fun.
Yes.
Which I love the poster because it's you in the Top Gun
the Top Gun outfit,
It's just had such a huge reaction.
Well, the great thing is, and we've never done this. I've been like an idiot. I've been writing a brand new show every year, right? Yeah. And then I keep going to events and go like, wow, I keep seeing all these people doing the same show, and they're still packing about. And and what the reason is, it's not laziness. It's just because there's so much audience out for a good show.
Yeah.
And so people just seem to love the theme. I'd never themed a show before, but just through a series of brainstorming, we end up doing this 80s themed hypnosis show, and they're just so much fun. The music's crazy, it's silly.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's so many memories. But even for people who weren't around in the 80s, there's some kind of like big revivalist, thing about the 80s, which people seem to embrace anyway. So
and Top Gun as well, coming back around again. And
that's
Tom
how it all
Cruise.
started. It was because each year when I write a new show, I start to go, what's been big the previous year? So when I was writing the show, at the back end of 2022 to debut it in 2023. And I was going through what are the big movies, what are the big music, blah, blah, blah. And so Top Gun obviously had been this massive hit again with Maverick, okay? I was like, that's perfect, because my shows are always about stupid, fun, crazy, silly. So I straight away, top fun, pun of a name, brilliant. Could see the poster as it is now, amazing.
Yeah.
But then as I started to go through my list, things like Stranger Things had been back on, a lot of 80s music, Kate Bush running up the hill, and a lot of other 80s hits and stuff. So I suddenly went, why don't I theme it all 80s?
Yeah.
And so I started to run with it. So anyway, and it's been such a big show at all 3 festivals we've done this year. We just felt there was more legs in it. So what I've done, we're actually for the first time kind of using the same show. So there's going to be bits that are the same. So it's called Top Fun, the remix, because we're changing up some bits. So if you did see it this year, you're going to see some different stuff in it next year. Mm-hmm. The essence of the party vibe, the obviously called the 80s soundtrack to it, and that it's just crazy. So that same essence is staying. So we're doing Top Fun, the remix this year.
It honestly sounds like so much fun. And also, Australians just love a dress up. I don't know if because you're not originally from Australia, you've lived here for a long time.
Yeah, I have 25 years now.
25 years.
Yeah.
Are the Brits as keen on a dress up as the Aussies?
Oh, absolutely.
So it's something that kind of translates. But I always find that that's definitely something. Anything has a dress up theme, like we're in with our ears back.
Well, as soon as I was writing the show, I was like, okay, this gives me a chance to wear a couple of outfits.
Exactly. And it just adds to it. Because people are looking for those opportunities. I feel like that's one of the things that I notice. You do lots of corporate event, and I have the opportunity and the blessing to be in a lot of these events. For a lot of people, it might be the first time they go to an event a year, like a gala dinner once a year, or a milestone birthday once a year. They don't have those opportunities. So when you provide them with that dress up, it's like, I've just been waiting. I bought this outfit and I've been sitting there waiting for the day, and they see your poster and they see that, and it's just like, this is let's make a night of it.
Well, I mean, what was really great about the show is that obviously, there's nothing about, you have to dress up to come to it, but we did find.
You did it. People just felt like, I'm doing it anyway.
People like, well, I'm going to come in my 80s gear.
It's mandatory from the pictures.
No, not
I
at all.
love that.
But people just did.
And they see people doing it, and it gives
yeah. So, I always loved it when people came up in their 80s gear, because that day glow really sets out.
Yeah.
But,
and have you lived in any other city in Australia?
Yeah, I lived in Melbourne for a while, actually. Yeah, that was part of a radio gig, got headhunted for a new radio team in Melbourne. And, so I was in Melbourne for a little while. But I think the lure of, because I'm a big lifestyle person, anyone who knows me well knows that as much as I love what I do, I love what I do outside of my job as well. I'm such a big beach person. I get in the water as much as person.
You love the water?
Yeah, get in the water as much as possible.
Yeah.
So
you live by the beach. You spend as much time there as possible.
Scarborough, yeah. So,
lifestyle is a really important part of a successful business, I would say.
Yeah.
Is you can be working to your heart's content, but if you're not able to use your free time to do the things that you love, are you really successful?
Yeah, absolutely. So that was the move back to Perth, was lifestyle driven for sure. So But what I'm really lucky though is that with my job, I mean, I probably spend about 6 months of my life every year out of Perth with all the travel. But that means I get to visit all the other cities. I get to stay in all the other cities, and I get to get all the best of them. Yeah, I still get to come back here. So, yeah.
I mean, you're just really living the dream.
Yeah.
So we've had to reschedule our catch-up today because you are literally jumping on a plane and going on a cruise ship. Tell me a little bit about what that entails, because you are a feature artist.
Yes.
And what does like a cruise ship entertainment experience look like for you?
Yeah, so I get classed as what they call a guest entertainer or a headline entertainer. So if you've ever gone on a ship, so what will happen is on board they'll have a crew of entertainers who put on some amazing shows, but they stay on the ship for, they could be 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, right? So, So throughout a week or throughout a cruise, they might do 3 or 4 big productions, right? But then also they fly on guest headline entertainers as well. So people like me will join a ship just for a certain leg, and over the period of a few days, will headline the theatre, on one night mostly.
So when you first started off, you had an interest in hypnotism and the mind, and obviously that started off as an interest, then it became something that you learned how to do as a performance. How do you learn the craft of hypnotism? Do you have a school or a mentor?
Look, there are certain courses. There are courses out there for sure that you can do. I started kind of like self-taught to start. Like I for years I'd kind of like dabbled, like just reading whole books and talking to hypnotists and things like that, just in my fascination stage.
It's such an interesting area.
Yeah, but of course there are plenty of courses you can now do, and in fact I've actually been on the other side, teaching people how to do this. So I think the last workshops we ran were in the UK, running workshops for people who wanted to put on shows.
Fantastic.
So it's a learning skill, but there's a lot to it. What is really interesting about doing a hypnosis show, though, is there's no real practice for doing it except doing it.
Except doing
because
the show.
your props are humans, and the process, you've just got to try the process and see what happens. And that's so literally your first show you're really doing, you kind of almost just like crossing your fingers behind your back and thinking, geez, I hope this works.
Well, you've got a fair amount of experience leading up to that, but it must. There is nothing like the thrill of the live moment.
Yeah.
Because it's all.
It's a very different kind of entertainment. I work.
It really is. It's not something like you've got your piano recital and you've practiced and you've done hours and hours and you go out there.
If you hit every note, everything's fine.
Exactly. Like you need those people in that room for it to be a show.
And I never know what these people are like, how they're going to react. So it's a very fluid show because of that, and you have to really adapt a lot. So
you obviously have a big range of events that you do work on. Are there particular events that you like doing? Is it the fringe environment that you enjoy, or is it cruise ships, standalone? What sort of events are you sort of focusing on coming up?
Yeah, I think everything has a different feel. I did an amazing show, a big corporate event on Friday night here in the city. Those big corporate ones are really great because you suddenly have this big group of people who generally are familiar with each other.
That's right.
And that entertainment is so, it creates such a buzz and there's so much fun in it.
Yeah.
There's a real buzz in the room after you've performed or something like that.
Yeah, because you've created like some sort of connection for them as well, like a team building. Especially when they know each other, as opposed to a fringe audience who's bought their own ticket.
But what I will say is that a lot of the time on those things, quite often I'm even a surprise act. So they might not even,
how does that go down?
Suddenly you go, oh, what? And I mean, you've done enough corporate events that obviously not everyone who's at the event always even wants to be at the event or that conference, and they're watching for, when these speeches finishes, when can I get out or whatever. And there's an element of that in some events.
Yes.
So consequently, with no ill will against who the entertainer is, most people have got no interest in you being there. You just happen to be there. So, but whereas when I do my fringe shows, or any theatre show, I know everyone in that room is there because they've spent some money because they want to come and see it, or even maybe take part in it, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, with those shows, I have the ability to create a much kind of more complex show with what I'm doing on stage, because I'm working with a warm audience and I know I'm going to get a great set of volunteers. Like there's going to be no shortage of people who want to take part. So
and that level of engagement.
Generally a rush for the stage. So so I get to run probably more dynamic and contemporary show there, and we kind of I get to just be really silly at it as well. So it's very different styles. So it's hard to say what I prefer, but that's the kind of differences in where I'm at.
Exactly.
But,
and also just from what I know of you, you're definitely one of those people that just would be there to win someone over regardless. If you didn't want to be there or you do want to be there and want to make sure you want to make sure they have the best night possible.
And I do know that what I do, it's great because I'm not a comedian. And so I'm not stood in front of people with them kind of going, well, you better make me laugh, funny boy. It's like I'm on the side of the audience where it's like, hey, just let me do this. I'll facilitate this thing, but I'm going to be laughing as much as you are about what's going to happen here. And
I love comedians that laugh at their own jokes.
Yeah.
But if you're not laughing, then people it's
no. But it's genuinely, I mean, I can run the same, I can do a fringe festival season of 30 shows. And yes, essentially I'm running the same routines every night, but because, I have a different set of volunteers every night, it's always different.
Yeah.
And, when you come and see the show twice, it's going to be different to the last time because we have different people up there, so yeah.
I'd love to know, do you have an event-specific memory that stands out as like a key achievement for you that?
I guess like obviously, hosting the symphony gigs are amazing, because, I'm literally walking onto stages where I've sat in an audience and watched some of the world's biggest acts. And then
Incredible.
you're on that stage doing something. So that those are always, that they will always be up there in a memory bank for sure.
Yeah.
But I guess, my favorite corporate gig, because it also involves some other stuff I love doing, got flown to Hawaii to do a 40-minute show. And so
I'll take that.
So look, if you can just book me the flight a few days later,
Exactly.
so I can stay on. So I just pack my surf stuff and 40-minute show up in Hawaii. We had the best time on stage with the company who it was for. They had a great event. We had a great show. But I get to Hawaii and back.
Unreal. When I was doing your initial introduction, I found it difficult to kind of summarize what it was. So I'm like, I'll just let you explain exactly what you do.
I'd say comedy hypnotist is the main gig.
Yeah.
But the DJing and the TV presenting, which are both dear to my heart.
Underlining all of that, you're an entertainer.
Yes,
You're just someone who's out there. Even when I met you, like this afternoon, open the door, and you just got that bright, bubbly personality. So you're made for performance. You're made for entertaining people. It's obviously just something that's part of your DNA. So I'd love to talk to you about, if you don't mind, a little bit about the behind the scenes of what happens, the behind the scenes operations of what it takes to be a performer. There's the fun show aspect, and then there's the operations and the business of events. And you're very lucky that your business manager is your wife who runs your business with you.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about how that got started, because very fortunate that you have someone that you have to do that.
Yeah.
But to have your partner do that with you is pretty special.
As much as people think I just go and do the shows, I actually do some of the marketing and stuff behind the scenes. Catherine's definitely is the guts of the business, the absolute engine, and makes the whole side work. But obviously we do have to work together on the admin side sometimes. Catherine then had that ability from that corporate background and that corporate business background to really take the business to somewhere I couldn't have done because I didn't have the capacity to do that side of things.
Yeah. And the mindset, and also having that business engine run by Catherine behind the scenes frees up creative space for you.
Yeah.
And that's such an important thing as a performer. Is the energy it takes. I mean, to me, it seems like you just this endless ball of energy. But obviously you need time either side to prepare. You need time to yourself. You need contemplation time. You need planning time. And that is always held back when you're dealing with emails and phone calls and admin and invoices and all that kind of stuff that is the guts of the business. Yeah.
Catherine, she just has the ability to be amazing with clients and keep those contacts up and make events happen and
the operations and keeping on top of it.
And then also, she came from a corporate finance background and then goes on to win WA Producer of the Year Award. She would have never
congratulations,
never would have believed she'd be working in the arts industry, let alone an industry leader.
It's brilliant because it just shows when you combine corporate skill set with passion, what you love, which is you, and flexibility and really valuing lifestyle.
Yeah. So consequently, we both get to travel a lot.
Yes.
But the great thing is as well, Catherine can actually work from anywhere. Like I, at times, do have to be somewhere to do that little thing I do, right?
Yeah. You have to be in Hawaii.
I can do my marketing and stuff like that anyway, but I still have to perform a show somewhere. Catherine, on the other hand, can be anywhere to do what she does. And so that's really nice. But most of the time we do get to, spend that away time together. I think we're very lucky that we've got these different skill sets which match together. Plus, we're able to work together and enjoy working together.
Do you have any mentors or people that you sort of look up to, or are you sort of now the elder statesman in the hypnotist world within your space? Is there? Because I can't think of anyone specifically.
With stage hypnosis, this is interesting. Like it's such a small industry. There may be only a handful of people in Australia who do this full time. It's a very
globally, I can only think of a couple.
Yeah. I mean, there are, in the UK, in the US, there are a number of us doing it full time, but it is it's such a niche thing. So I've tried to stray away from every cliche that there was, in the past about hypnosis, because I wanted to modernize it. I wanted to make it fresh and energetic and uplifting and upbeat and crazy. And so it is a slightly different take on it. But also I didn't have, a huge depth of people I was, like referring to kind of model on.
Yeah.
Do you
guys have a specific plan of what you want to do, or is it a matter of just building on what you already have? Is there an end goal?
The end goal is obviously, to probably do only the shows that you want to do.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's what everyone does. It's like, I only want to do the bit of the work that I want to do.
Like a Vegas residency? Or?
It's no, do you know what? This is really interesting, right?
Know.
This is interesting. That does not interest me whatsoever, because that is not a lifestyle decision. So for me,
true.
And I spend time in Vegas, and I love going and seeing the Vegas guys there.
Yeah.
And we have contacts there. But that lifestyle doesn't interest me, of doing the same show 5 or 6 times a week and not being able to go and do other stuff outside of that.
I'm really looking forward to see what life has in store for you guys.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, it's been magic talking to you.
It's been so good. Yeah, we need to schedule podcasts more often.
My God, it's the only way we get to finally catch up properly.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you here today. Thank you so much for joining me for a Champagne Chat.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Matt.
Hey.
Thank you. Cheers. Oh, it's been fantastic. Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode of Champagne Chats. Thank you so much for joining. If you enjoyed the show, please make sure to subscribe on YouTube or any of your favorite podcast platforms. And remember, may the only pain in your life be champagne. Cheers.